working now. Yay! I knew I'd forgotten something. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a lovely week. It is still dark and cold outside. It was horrible weather yesterday, but we are here and we are cozy and we are crafting, so all is well with the world. Tonight, I've got 3 cards to show you, but before I get to the crafting, I just want to remind you that the online exclusives for November have gone live. And also today, the last chance list has refreshed. So if you're looking for a bargain, head to the website and look under last chance, because that list has been refreshed. There's some items that are discounted. There's some items that are, once they're gone, they're gone. So I would definitely recommend that you take a look at the last chance list, because that has had a refresh today. Hey, Karen. Hi to everyone who's watching on Facebook. Hi to everyone on YouTube. Hi to everyone who's watching on Catch Up. To all my lovely team members or anyone who's a Stampin' Up demonstrator, 8 o'clock tonight, that's when the spring summer catalogue gets released to us. If you're not a demonstrator, I'm sorry you don't get to see it just yet, but for those of you who have joined up, then remember tonight's the night. So I will do my full live, but then I cannot wait, because I've already seen a couple of sneak peeks and oh, honestly, it's going to be really cool. So, but let's jump to the crafting section of this evening. So let me get the lights on. We're definitely in needing our lights on territory. So for everybody who shopped with me in October, you have received this class in the post with all of the instructions and all the measurements. And actually, it occurs to me I should probably have brought that information up on the screen for myself. And you will have received a pack that looks a little bit like this. The instructions would have been there as well, and you'll have received these 3 cards. So we are going to make these cards together. So if you have got the class, then get your bits and pieces out and craft along. If you haven't received it, then you can obviously make these yourselves. And if you're in my team, I'm going to upload the instructions to our team page as well. So these are the 3 cards that we're going to make this evening. These are the 3 cards that were in the class. So we have the Circle DSP card, we have the DSP Stripe card, and then we have the Pop-Up Corner card. So we're going to make each of these 3 cards here tonight. Hey, Ali, glad you're here. I'm going to start with the 3 stripe card. And then I'm going to do the circle card, and then I'm going to do the pop-up corner card, because I think that's the fanciest one. So I'm going to do that as the grand finale. So let's start with my 3 stripe card. And I'm just bringing up the details here. So what you will have in your envelope is you will have, tip everything out, you'll have a card blank in shaded spruce. So this is just half of A4 that's been scored down the center, like so. And then you have a piece of cherry cobbler, which is cut to 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And there we go. And that's going to stick onto my card there. I'm going to stick the other pieces onto it first though. You have a piece of basic white card layer, which is cut to, oh, I'm looking at the wrong instructions. That's why I can't see. You were there a second ago. Oh, now I'm using the wrong mouse. Honestly, I am just not awake. There we go. So this basic white layer is cut to 3.25 by 4.5, and that fits perfectly onto my cherry cobbler layer. And then I have my 3 pieces of designer series paper. So the best way to assemble this card is, get your glue. The first thing you're going to do is arrange the strips in the order you want them. I like to do a light, a space, a dark, and then a lighter one. And so I'm going to use my Tombow glue to put the top strip on first. And I'm going to position it at the top of my basic white layer so that, I'll just hold this up to the camera so you can see, so that the gap at the top is about the same as the gap at both left and right. Okay, so if you do that, you will position it in the center. And then I'm going to take the other piece of DSP that's kind of like a paler one rather than a darker one, because this is my bottom strip. And I'm going to do exactly the same at the bottom piece, at the bottom of my basic white layer. So I'm going to stick that on, and so the gap at the bottom is about the same as the gap left and right. That way it's centered. And then this one I am going to stick on. There we go. I'm running out of Tombow, so I might need to replace that soon. This one I'm going to put on so that the gap in between these two strips is the same as the gap between the strip and the bottom. The sizes of the strips, that's a very good thing to mention, Karen, and I should have done that. The DSP strips are 3 inches wide by 1 inch high. So yeah, it's a good way of using offcuts, but it's also a good way of using up your lovely designer series paper. So the ink I'm going to use, I'm not going to use Cherry Cobbler. I'm going to use Shaded Spruce. That's the same colour to match my card base. And the stamp that I'm going to use is the one from Delicate Pines, one of my favourite stamp sets. And I'm going to use the Warmest Winter Wishes. So let me ink that up. If you are not confident with your stamping, then I would recommend that you just place the DSP strips where you want them to be, ink and stamp your sentiment, and then stick them down. Because once you've done this, you're kind of committed to it. If it didn't stamp properly, you could put a piece of card over the top to cover it up. But, so as I say, use a good quality stamp, you'll get a good quality image, and Stampin' Up stamps are very good quality. And the photopolymer means that you can always see through, you can always see where you're going. I'm going to clean off my stamp as I go, using my trusty Stampin' Scrub. Pop that over there. Ooh. For those of you coming to the Christmas card boot camp at the weekend, I've got my samples over there. No, you're not getting to see them. It's going to be a surprise for people who are coming on Saturday. Once both of the boot camps are done, I will share the projects online so that you can see the designs, but I will be keeping them a secret until those who are coming to the class have had a chance to attend. Right, my basic white layer is now going onto my Cherry Cobbler layer. And then my Cherry Cobbler layer goes onto my Shaded Spruce card blank. There you go. Right, and then to finish this one off, this is optional, you don't have to do it. The gems aren't included in your kit, but if you did shop with me and spend over £50, then you've got a pack of embellishments or gems in there as a freebie. And I'm just going to put a couple of these on. Let's put that one on there. You know what I'm like with a bit of bling. I do love me a bit of bling. Hey Margaret, glad you're here. There you go. So that is the first card done from the October freebie class. Quick and easy, but it's the sort that you can do in bulk. There we go. So that is our DSP strip card. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is that one that you like? Is that one that you'll do yourself? Right, the second card on our list is this one here. So this is what I'm calling a DSP circle card. Let's see, get my instructions up. This was actually one that we did at a recent team gathering as well, at our online team gathering. So I'm sure some of my team will be looking at that going, that looks awfully familiar. Oh, thank you, Linda. So for this particular one, my card blank, what's in your pack that you've received is a card blank that's in Secret C. So that's again just half of A4 and then scored down the center. Then there is a DSP layer, which is 3 inches by 5.5. And then there is again a cherry cobbler layer, which is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And there should also be, yeah, there is, a piece of designer series paper. And you will also have a white piece of cardstock put in, but I ran out, which is why I don't have one. But I'm going to show you something different for the tag on this, or for the white sentiment on this one. So, but let's start off with our card blank. So just fold that in half and score it. Then going to take my designer series paper and stick it down the center of my card. So again, using my Tombow, I want this to be flat. Again, these cards are all really good ways to use all of that beautiful designer series paper, which you bought because you loved it. And then it sits on a shelf and it doesn't get loved, it doesn't get used. Remember, you get 2 of every sheet, so you get 1 to use and 1 to stroke. So go on, dig out that designer series paper and start crafting with it. I know you've got it. You're as bad as I am. Okay. Next, we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of our cherry cobbler layer. And I have just about finished this sheet here. So I'm going to use the bits at the side. Waste not, want not. You know to do that, don't you guys? You never throw out a sheet of dimensionals without cutting off the bits at the side. No self-respecting crafter would let something like that go to waste. So peel off our backing bits. There we go. And then this piece goes onto the center of our card. Now, what I like about this one is you have a little bit of the designer series paper that pokes out at the top at the bottom, and you have the pattern that's in the center as well. And then to finish it off, I've just got a little bit of ribbon, and I want my sentiment, and then I also want to have a focal piece. Now on this one, you can punch out anything that you have. You can cut out a piece from designer series paper. Hey Julie. For this one, I was actually thinking that I would trim off the piece that I had. So I'm going to stick this, watch me, I'm just going to cut down there and stick that on like so. But I'm going to stick that on with dimensionals. Before I do that though, I want to do my sentiment. And my plan for my sentiment, got a new punch. Have you seen this? This is the new banner, triple banner punch, which is in the November online exclusives. It does have a stamp set that goes with it. Let me just grab that for you as well. So banner sayings. There are 14 stamps in this set. It's in the new packaging. So it's in a plastic wallet rather than a DVD case. And all of these sentiments fit perfectly into the banner punch. So what have we got here? You are loved, consider yourself hugged, cue the confetti, thanks a million, sending my love. There's lots here. Happy birthday, you're the sweetest. Lots of thank you type ones, which is really nice. I do want this to be a Christmas card because I think that goes best with the snowflakes. So one of the things I just wanted to check, warmest winter wishes doesn't quite fit in there. But what I could do is just have the winter wishes part of it. So let's use my Secret C. And I'm going to use the pen. Let's get a bit of cardstock. So using my Stampin' Up markers, I'm just going to colour in winter wishes. And you'll see, I don't know if you can see, but I'm not using my pen as the point on here. I'm using the side of it because I want to make sure that I load it up with ink, and using the side of the brush nib is the best way to do this. Then the tip is to huff and then stamp. There we go, winter wishes. Let's just quickly clean that off. Not that you have to clean it in a hurry. The ink in the pens is exactly the same as the ink in the ink pads. As long as you're using the Stampin' Up markers, okay? These ones are water-based pens. Don't try this technique with your alcohol markers. They will not come off as easily. Okay, so now I'm going to line up my cardstock, doing it upside down in my banner punch, like so. Pop it out, and there we go. That's fab. I do love this punch. And I've even got an extra banner piece. So this was the banner piece that came in with your kits if you got them through the post. And you can put your own sentiment on there, or you can handwrite it, or you can use whichever sentiments you've got at home and cut them out however you choose. So for this, though, I'm going to, for the original one, it was long with a diagonal, and so the ribbon was long with a diagonal as well. This one has got a fishtail on it, so I'm going to cut my ribbon into a fishtail. I'm going to do that by folding it in half, and then starting at the folded bit, I'm going to cut out towards the point. If you do it that way, you're more likely to get sharp points on your fishtail, your ribbon. And then I'm going to just put that underneath. I want to use a bit of tear tape. Trusty tear tape. I would normally not recommend using a wet glue like Tombow when you're sticking ribbon, because it will just soak through the ribbon and it won't work. So let's use that along the bottom. Like so. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to trim this bit off or if it's going to end up being covered. Yeah, it's going to be covered by my snowflake sentiment. So this piece, I'm just going to use another tiny little bit of tear tape on the back. Tear tape that, as the name suggests, you just tear. Why make life hard for ourselves? Still got to peel the backing off though. There we go. So let's put my winter wishes sentiment to the bottom and off to one side. And then my snowflake, I'm going to use more of my foam pads. So. And I'm going to stick this along the side of my card, like so. There we go. So this is the Circle DSP card. As I say, that's the second of the cards that you've got in your kit. And I hope you like that. Let's now go on to the final card, which is the pop-up corner. So that's this one here. I do love this card. So let me bring up my measurements so that I can share with them. So what you have got in your pack is you have got a piece of designer series paper that measures 6 inches by 7.5. Then you have a piece of colour coordinating cardstock. So the colours that are in your pack are going to be either Old Olive, Garden Green, Shaded Spruce or Pretty Peacock. This one that I've got is Pretty Peacock. And this card layer is 4 1/8 inches by 5 5/8 inches. Then you have 3 tag shapes. So 2 of them are in basic white and 1 of them is in the same colour as your card base. And these 2 basic white labels are the same size and they fit into the coloured layer that you've got as well. So that's what's in your little pack, in your envelope. And here is how we assemble it. So the first thing you want to do is work out which bit is going to be on the inside and which bit is going to be kind of on the outside. So if you see here, this is my inside. And so I'm going to use this same piece as the inside. And the inside matches the tag. So I'm going to have this matching my tag. And then the outside is going to be the piece that is more patterned. So you want to make sure when you're scoring that you know which way is going to be the inside, because if you don't, it's either going to be upside down or you're going to end up having it not the way that you intended. So that's the first thing you want to check. So again, in the instructions, you've got a very clear picture and a very clear diagram. What I'm going to do is I'm going to score down this shorter edge first, and I'm going to score at 2 inches. Okay. If you're using a Stampin' Up trimmer scorer, please be gentle, because if you score too hard, you could cut through your DSP. Okay, 2 inches. I now want 2 inches along this piece here. So I'm going to turn it and put it in at 2 inches. You basically want your score lines to run along the left and the top. Okay, so I have scored. Once you've scored them, fold them backwards and forwards in both directions. Okay, same with the other side. Okay, then you want to do a score line that basically cuts along this diagonal. And to be honest, I'm not going to use my trimmer for that. I'm just going to use my eye, because I want this crease line here to marry up with this crease line here. It's actually easy. If there's one side where you can see it easier than the other, do it on that side. You're going to be folding them backwards and forwards in both directions anyway. So don't worry thinking, oh, I folded it in the wrong direction, because you're going to end up doing it in both. There we go. All right. So now you've scored your top and your left, and you've scored your diagonal one across in both directions. Once you've done that, if you fold the left hand piece in and the top half piece in, this bit will automatically crease and you'll get this corner. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. Next, you want to glue this piece onto your coloured cardstock piece, and there'll be a little border right the way around the whole edge. Okay, so go ahead with your Tombow glue, or you could use a glue roller for this if you wanted to. You could use your tear tape if you wanted to, but not your dimensionals. You want something that's going to stick this flat. I like my Tombow. It's very forgiving, and it means that I can position it how I want it to be. Make sure that it's in the center. Okay. Open that up like that. Right. So that is almost like the base of the card. Okay. Next, you're going to do your front emblem. Now on this one, yes, I'll be honest, I used 2 coloured layers and then the white layer. On the packs that you guys have got, you've got 1 coloured layer and 1 white layer. So have I been a little bit stingy? Perhaps, but I had an awful lot of these packs to pull together. And actually, I think with the 1 colour, it still looks really, really nice. Looks pretty with the 2 layers if you want to build it up and do extra, but it looks just as nice with a single colour. So what I am going to do, I'm just checking, yep, I'm going to use my big Merry Christmas. So using a focal stamp on the front of your card like this, I think is really, really striking and really effective. If you have got a large sentiment stamp, now's the time to crack it out. And if you don't have one, then you should get one because they're really good. So I'm going to use my Cherry Cobbler ink. I'm just, oops. My Cherry Cobbler has had an awful lot of action over the last few days, and I think it might need re-inking. Let's see how that looks. Yeah. You know what? Let's just pull out my Cherry Cobbler re-inker. You ever seen a pad get re-inked before? They don't need to be re-inked very often, but if you are using it an awful lot, it is a good idea to re-ink them from time to time. I'm just going to make sure that I use a generous amount of ink all the way over. And then I'm just using the nozzle of my re-inker to kind of press it down. It's interesting, you can see on the pad, the centerpiece obviously needed more ink than the outer pieces because they are still quite juicy. They haven't absorbed quite as much, whereas that center bit, man, it was sucking it all up. All right, let's put that away. All right. It's a good thing these are water-based inks. It's also a good thing I'm wearing a red dress today. So let's ink this up. Just test that out. Yeah, that is much better. And let's do this on the center of my basic white label. There we go. Perfect. On the front of my card, I just want to decorate with a few more bits and pieces. So you can see here, I've just used some of the snowflakes around the edges. Will I still use snowflakes? I might use the pine sprigs here because these are more spriggy. Is that a term? Will I use the snowflakes? I do love the snowflakes. Emma, use the snowflakes. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to use the snowflakes. And I'm actually going to do the same on the inside as well. So you see how I've got the snowflakes decorating the front and the inside? So I'm going to just do the same for this one. So using my Secret C ink, let's just do some in the corner there, and along the bottom there. And then let's do the same on the inside. Hands up in the comments if Delicate Pines is one of the stamp sets that you've got. If it's not one that you've got, what was holding you back? Or is it one that's still on your wish list and you just haven't been persuaded yet? Time is running out, guys. When the autumn-winter catalogue retires, some of these items are going to be gone forever. We don't know yet what's carrying over and what's going to retire. So if you don't get them when you get the chance, you might miss out. All right. I'm going to try Old Olive. I think this will be interesting. Just practice it on my grid first. See what that... Yeah, this looks nice. The Old Olive with the Secret C for the snowflakes, I think looks really striking. And remember, when you're stamping snowflakes, no two snowflakes are ever identical. So if they're not stamped completely perfectly, that's still perfectly all right. Right. Just going to do the sentiment on the inside of my card as well. I don't know what I did without my Stampin' Scrub. Probably just had very dirty stamps. Right. This back into place. Let's use my cherry cobbler again. You can see just how much I've used this particular stamp set. It got a big workout at the show. For those of you who came to see me at the SECC, you probably saw me using this stamp set. There we go. Celebrate. So a little bit excessive right on there. Not a set that you've bought yet, Linda. Well, do you know what? I've said this before. If there was somebody who loved everything in the catalogue, there would be somebody else who didn't like any of it. You don't have to love everything in the catalogue. This one, however, is definitely one of my favourites. There we go. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, snowflakes. There's a snowflake set comes out every year, and I've got snowflake sets. I don't need another snowflake set. But I have never seen a snowflake set with pine needles. And I just think the pine element of it just makes it really elegant and different. That's the thing. I wanted something that was different. Right, now we've got our stamped elements. We're going to start assembling these. So let's put my Tombow onto the whole of the one that goes on the front. I'm running out of Tombow here. So it's going to stick onto my Pretty Peacock layer. And then the other one is going inside. So what I would recommend is stick your center one down first. You'll see why in a minute. The tombow is just about finished. So open up your corner and place that in the center so you can see where your top line is and your side line is, and stick that flat in the center of that piece. And then when you fold over, this is going to show you what you need to cover up to put this into the center. Okay, so you're going to look at your corner here. Now stick with your tombow, and just on this little corner piece here, you're just going to put one little piece of glue. You can always add more later, but you can't take it away. All right, so position this so that it's in the center, and then press down where your glue is in the corner. Okay, so it's only stuck to that square. Once you've stuck it down, you can then lift this piece up and put some more glue on the back to make sure this piece is fully stuck down. Don't go over the top with the glue. But then when you fold it back over, that's what you get. Okay, so this piece opens up. You get to see both sides of that gorgeous DSP, and then it folds flat again. Now, it's beautiful in its own right. If you want to add some gems, then feel free. I'm just going to add a couple of these little sequiny pieces along the bottom, just to give it a bit of bling. It's almost like I'm incapable of having a card that doesn't have some bling on it. Let's just put a couple of little pieces on. Not much. Not much. Let's finish that off. So there we go. And then that just fits inside your C6 envelope. And it's another one that folds completely flat. So while it's a fancy fold, it'll still go through the letterbox as a normal envelope. You don't need to put a large letter stamp on it. And that's the pop-up corner card. So there you go. So these are the 3 cards that were given to everybody who shopped from me in October. So hopefully you have received them in the post. They will either have been included with your order if you shop from me at the SEC, or if you shopped with me separately through the website, then you'll have received them in the post separately. But all of the instructions, all the measurements are included. And if you're part of my team, I'm going to upload them to our team page as well. All right, so that is us for this evening. I hope you have enjoyed this class. If you've got any questions, then please get in touch. And yeah, I'm going to leave you to your evening, and I am now going to go and look at the new catalogue. If you are also a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, it should be live. So you should be able to log on to the demo website and look at it. And if you're not a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, why not? We get to see all of this stuff early. We get discounts off it. But if you are not, and you would like a copy of the new catalogue when it gets released to the general public, drop me a message, or if you've shopped with me in the last 6 months, I'll make sure one is put out in the post to you as soon as I get them. All right, everyone, have a fabulous evening. Take care. Bye.